Hello and welcome everyone to this encouraging conversation. Today I have with me Maddy Harland down in Devon.
Hello, Looby. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, well, thank you for being part of the cultural emergence journey for all this time. You've been part of the journey since 2016, really, when we're just after John and I did our first cultural emergence course. Then you came along to Applewood for the first empowering women with permaculture course that we did there back in 2016, and then those kind of pathways merged and evolved together. And then you came along and did some of the other cultural emergence courses with us in 2018 and 2019, I think. So yeah, you've been part of that journey and part of the evolution of the principles as well. And yeah, maybe you want to share a bit about how cultural emergence has influenced you. But actually, before that, just to say that Maddy is my publisher and editor, and you were the first, person to back the People and Permaculture book, which came out a decade ago. So you've been part of my journey for a lot longer than cultural emergence even. So for over a decade we've been collaborating together on various things, haven't we, including book writing. So yeah, do you want to share a little bit, start with some gratitude and share anything you'd like to about cultural emergence?
Yeah, so what's been really fascinating is watching how it has literally emerged. So it's like many threads coming together to weave a beautiful piece of cloth. I think that's how I'd see it. So, like years ago, we did stuff around empowering women, but even before you got to Applewood, um, I mean, that must have been nearly 20 years ago that we started doing that sort of stuff. And then the whole feeling that permaculture was very good on earth care, but where were the people care skills? Um, Looking, really observing how many projects fell apart because we weren't good at collaborating, not personally, but as human beings, we struggle with collaboration. We're good at seeing distant difficulties and differences rather than similarities, or we have that tendency. So really identifying that there was this huge area unspoken in the permaculture movement about people care skills, and saying we need a book, we need to begin this long and beautiful conversation about how to live in a more harmonious way. And then out of that came this toolkit, Cultural Emergence, which is obviously the people care has the design web and a toolkit, but cultural emergence takes it even further, and it's not so much about even small groups and interpersonal relationships, but it's about designing new cultures. And what I love about it is this mysterious aspect, is that we can have all the tools and we can have our vision, but with anything that's emergent, the unexpected can happen, and actually we want it to happen because we don't want to be limited by our own perceptions and our field of knowledge, because we know that much more is possible, just like another world is possible. Yes, it is, but we can't really fully imagine it yet. So the yeast in the loaf is not necessarily going to bake a loaf of bread that we expect. It's going to be even better.
Yeah,
So that's my gratitude for great mystery.
absolutely, yeah. Hooray for the mystery of emergence, and that we don't know what will happen. And that's certainly something that gives me hope and courage to contribute into the world, because we don't know when we might be the yeast, the magic ingredient that shifts things and makes unexpected things happen. It's definitely part of the magic of the toolkit, is the magic of emergence, for sure. Yeah, I was wondering, if you'd like to ask so with, we're talking about the card deck now, which is the magic that I'm trying to manifest at the moment. And I was wondering if you wanted to ask the cards a question and see what comes.
I'd love to. I think that's so exciting. So I thought about this and I thought, well, perhaps I should ask something quite sort of professional about publishing, or, the new directions of what is the unexpected vision for publishing in the next 10 years. And I'm very tempted, and I would like to ask that. But I've also got this wonderful stone and lime mortar building that I can just see from my desk, and it's gorgeous. I think it was a piggery. Oh, we're not quite sure what it was, but it's called the piggery, and it's a bit tumbled down. And I'm trying to kind of figure out, how am I going to progress the renovation of this building, and what does it need to become? So I'm going to ask you a really personal question that's close to my heart, which is, how can I progress the renovation of this building, and what does it need to become?
Oh, okay, great. So let's look at the magic and mystery of the renovation of this building. Okay.
And what does it need to become?
Oh, okay, two
You know,
questions. I might.
well, it needs to serve, something for the greater good, not just for me building something.
Okay, well, I picked two because two were calling. I've got this one, which is use the emergence to support emergence. So what's emerging from it, and then what will come from that. And then this one, which is honor the wisdom within.
Yeah.
So, so what's the giggle there, Maddie, and what are they saying to you, those two principles?
Oh, so I mean, yes, I mean that is the thing, isn't it? Is that if we let go and we allow ourselves that idea of emergence and the unknown, and we let go of our concepts and our preconditions and our sense of how things should be, and say to ourselves, hang on a minute, I need to really go into free fall to allow emergence to support emergence, and throw away all, plans and concepts, and just see what comes. And that takes a certain amount of courage, definitely, and support and encouragement from others to be brave and do that. And I feel like our whole journey to Devon, where we moved here a year ago now, and everything that's happened since we've been here has been incredibly emergent. So the necessity of doing something has appeared, and then the right people have appeared to advise or help us complete a task with the right skills, and that just keeps happening. So I read from that is, have good intentions in your heart, and trust that that emergent process will continue in a really positive way, and don't worry, it'll happen. That's what I read from those two cards.
Yeah, lovely. So the messages for use emergence to support emergence are: answers are revealed as stories unfold. Do what can be done now. Emergent properties provide springboards. Ask questions that bring more questions.
Yeah, and that's completely spot on with everything that we've done since we've been here. That's exactly what we've been doing, and it's working. I mean, it sounds doesn't sound flaky, but it's like we think that the woodland here is a remnant of Atlantic temperate rainforest, judging by the plants and the people that know. So proper plant biologists we've just been put in touch with so that we can survey it. So it's like, just ask the questions, get more questions, and then what you need will come, as long as you're on the right track.
Yeah, lovely. And for honour the wisdom within, we've got the messages are: use body wisdom when designing. All systems provide wisdom. All senses provide wisdom, and every system holds wisdom.
Fantastic. It's spot on, because you have to embody it. You have to fully live it to be in that emergent space. And you need to do your sit spot and think about, your physical vision and your hearing and how things feel and taste and just everything on a sensory level, and then the extra sensory aspect develops out of that, and from the positive routine of doing that every day. So it's just it's a wonderful way of living.
Lovely. And I wonder, with this this honour the wisdom within in relation to renovating this piggery, it's like, what is the wisdom that the piggery holds? What is it that the building itself, what's the wisdom held within the piggery?
I think in part it's such a modest little building, but it's so natural.
So to tune into the wisdom of the building when you're thinking about this renovations, is like, what's the building itself trying to tell you? Where's that leading you? What's the wisdom held there? And that, rather than to come in and just try and redirect it, or just think that it's actually maybe the building itself knows, and the people that designed it before knew they had wisdom, and that is held within the structure of the building itself now, that can be evolved and built upon, literally, to evolve and emerge new space. Yeah.
And I think it needs to be done in a way that's really sensitive, so that it retains its feel and doesn't then look like some kind of modern building stuffed on top of the old one. I just think it needs respect and sensitivity.
Yeah. Yeah, lovely. That's beautiful. Yeah. Well, I remember back in 2016, I'd been doing cultural emergence courses in the summer with John, and then empowering women with permaculture courses with you, and then we went off to Italy for the European Permaculture Convergence. And I distinctly remember a conversation with you in one of these beautiful outdoor restaurants one balmy evening, of like, I was saying, well, what are the principles that we can take from the empowering women that come into cultural emergence? What is it that we need to bring in? And it was from that conversation that these collections of these encouraging principles came in. The one of about giving encouragement to each other, about receiving encouragement, which is really important, and about being encouraged. And this word courage really came through, and this idea that what we're doing when we're having courses or groups is creating this field of encouragement, and how powerful that is when you step into that field to find your own gifts, to contribute, to find your courage, to step up, to be present in the world. And there's this, one of the foundations of doing these conversations as well, is that we have these encouraging conversations, that maybe I give you some encouragement there with your building, and you encourage me. And yeah, what would you like to say as some encouragement to your networks, how to be more involved with cultural emergence? What encouragement would you like to give them?
I would say that what we have here, and I think that was really demonstrated by the cards, is you can have an essence or a sense of your own internal wisdom, and you know, the idea of, yes, I need to do certain things to live my best life. And you know, I think we've all carried that wisdom in ourselves. But what cultural emergence does is it really identifies very specific things that we can do to build and support and encourage each other, and also to make the connections into the positive, and grow them. And so I think it's really useful to look at these principles and work with them and see how they can affect really quite simple things in our daily lives. Like the whole thing around nature connection is absolutely profound, and yet it's so simple. It is about literally going to a place and sitting and feeling and seeing and hearing and tasting and touching with your five senses, and then something magical happens and you kind of go into a different zone that is beyond the five, you know, the sixth sense or beyond. And it happens, but it only happens with a little bit of practice. And when you've got this network of people who are doing similar, it supports each one of us to continue with that practice and not let the funny little goblin on your shoulder say, don't sit and waste your time, do something more useful, or this isn't working. You know, just it helps overcome that negativity and or shadow side in each one of us. And something that you embody and really beam out into the world is this sense of really encouraging people to do these small and simple practices. And then you have a capacity to clarify. So you say, this is the card of for your building, or this is the two cards, and layered beneath that statement about listening to your own inner wisdom, or allowing that building to express its own wisdom, are these other layers of clarity, these four subheads, and they are the ones that I need to go away and reflect on. And it's very illuminating. And it's like, oh, right, I've got a pathway now. I've been looking at that building for a year thinking, I know I've got to do something with this before the roof falls in, literally. But now I've got some kind of practical pathway to move forward with it. And I've got techniques, and magically, it's not going to cost anything to actually do that. You know, I can begin now. I don't have to wait until I'm in a financial place where I can sort it out. I can begin now. And you know, this is the art of manifestation, really, is that it's not about manifesting money, it's about manifesting pathways. And then the emergent properties can come in to our lives. And that's the key, because it's not materialistic. And that's the key. And the key to this whole thing of encouragement is not a materialistic thing. It is about community. And it's about reconnecting with our DNA and our group consciousness, and our how we have wider blended families, and how to build on that. and be in community and encourage each other. And it's very primeval, but it's also bridges right into that emergent future that we're not quite sure what's going to happen yet and what it totally looks like.
Wow, that's beautiful, Maddie. Yeah, I love that. Manifesting, it's not about manifesting money, it's about manifesting pathways. Lovely, lovely. Yeah.
Well,
I,
that's what you do.
mm,
That is absolutely what you do, and you do it for people in everything that you do, in your books, in the cards that are coming, in the video series, the courses, the community, Zooms and other connective things that you do. You help people to manifest pathways, and often they're shared pathways, and so we're not alone, and we have this support, and I love the concept of growing ropes. I'm going to bring that in because I think that's so important to feeling encouraged and emergence, that we have something that we know is a really positive thing in our life that we need to grow a pathway to, but it's not an instantaneous thing. It's one thread at a time, and slowly but surely it comes together and strengthens over time, and it works.
yeah, wonderful. And how do you think that the cards, the Culture Emergence Toolkit in the shape of cards, will give people more courage?
Well, I'm very excited about these cards, Luby. I'm excited about these cards because when you've got a big book, I mean, obviously you can sort of randomly and emergently flick through a page and put your finger somewhere in the book and read a few sentences. When if you have an internal question, you can do that and sort of leave things up to whatever the word. You could say chance, you could say something else. But with the cards are a much easier shortcut to thinking about a question and then being directed on a pathway, because each card is like a little pathway towards the answer.
Lovely. I love that. Each card is a little pathway towards the answer.
It is. It is. And there's that clarification, because, there's the beginning of an answer, but then it's like, this is what this card is telling you. And you've got this rich but succinct set of concepts below, and they're not complex, but they're subtle. So how have you been feeling while you've been writing and making them and drawing them? Because it's a whole sensory experience, really, isn't it?
It is, and I'm oh, I wasn't expecting a question back.
I know. Yeah, but I have to get my own back.
Yeah, well done, Maddie. It's been multi-layered. So I started this process with the cards. I've been visioning it for a long time, and then doing this Kickstarter is really like, oh, okay, now it's gonna happen. So I feel somewhat in like the birthing process, like I've transitioned from the gestation process into like the like, okay, this is gonna happen now. I need to do it. I've been making my mandalas. This was one I did last night. I'm really holding on to having fun in the process. I could really easily, that little goblin you talked about or sitting on the shoulder, that could really, have a nice big field day at the moment. But I'm like, I'll let it come out later. But at the moment, let's just have fun. So that's been my motto at the moment, is having fun. This started last year with a design we call playful engagement. Of like, so it went from not just cards, but like, okay, what we're trying to do, we're trying to encourage other people to playfully engage. But the more I do that when I'm in the process, the more fun other people will have. And so I'm really just loving the colors and the textures and the shapes, and just really enjoying that process, and allowing my little gremlin to have a holiday by saying, it's okay, these aren't the final products, you can come back when we'll do the final ones. And just having fun, letting the gremlin off the hook by saying they're only drafts. I'll just do, this is just the draft 2 and maybe the draft 3, and at some point, they'll just magically turn into the final draft without the gremlin having a moment to to input. So I'm feeling fun and excited, and in that process of emergence of, like, when we hit go on the Kickstarter, it was just like, okay, I've stepped into the unknown now. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know these unexpected people that will come in to and feel excited by the card deck that maybe wouldn't have engaged with the book, or like the many readers who were like going, oh yeah, this is actually really what I wanted, was the card. So yeah, I'm feeling excited, a little bit nervous, but turning that nervous energy into sort of action, trying to turn nervous energy into useful action is also one of my mottos that I'm using at the moment to keep myself going. And I think one of the, what I did when people say, oh, how did you write People and Permaculture? And I say, well, I use the tools to write the book. And that's very much what I'm doing here with the card deck and with the Kickstarter, and how those two designs interact. But they are separate designs, but obviously very much interacting. I'm using the tools. So it's like, okay, we've got plan and flow. Use emergence, or emergence happens in relationship. It's like, okay, where can we have these relationships? What's happening? So just, yeah, really playing with the tools to manifest these designs. And as you say, it was manifesting the pathway. So the pathway was opening up the Kickstarter, and now we're on the pathway and we're seeing what happens. So yeah, thanks for asking. Yeah. So one final question then that I'd like to two more questions, sorry. One is, how do you find the courage to contribute what you do in the world? You have this, big international publishing company. You've out there giving talks. You're stepping it. You've been editing the Permaculture Magazine for 27 years now. 30? How long?
Oh, it's getting a long time.
It's a
Yeah,
long time. It's a long
it's a
time.
long
So
time.
you've been speaking up. You've been being a prominent permaculture pioneer, a female permaculture pioneer for decades now. How do you find the courage to do what you do?
Um, I think that I just love the natural world so much, and it gives me so much joy, and I just have a really deep and passionate calling to do whatever I can in this short span of a single life to make things better, as best I can. And it seems that my niche is, and it always has been, to do with communication and words, and encouraging people to make their lives better, because as we live this life that is more in tune and connected to the natural world, inevitably we're happier, but we preserve the things that we love the most. And so that's really what drives me consistently. And I am a person that likes to do stuff. I love making things and building things and testing stuff and growing things. And what I love about permaculture and cultural emergence is that fundamentally it is about the wisdom of right action, doing good stuff, and doing it as well as we can, and finding the right design to live our best lives and do things as well as we can. And I want to share that. And you talked about joy. So, and what were the words you used about being under a lot of stress? But what was it again?
Playfully engaging.
Yes, that was it. So yeah, we have to play. We're never too old to play, and I always like to reframe, particularly out when I'm outdoors doing stuff, as playing outside, because I just remember my deep joy as a very young kid playing outside, and I just think if I take that into my life now and see it more as play rather than tasks that I have to achieve, then it's much more joyful and energized. And I need to, like every other human being, I need to do that with my desk job as well. But I do as much as I can to enjoy it, and feel inspired by the incredible privilege of being in touch with so many people around the world and being exposed to wonderful new ideas. So life is deeply about lifelong learning, but not learning in the stuffy or tedious way, but in lifelong expansion, lifelong encouragement. And I do feel that. I feel I'm able to plug into the encouragement of an entire global planetary movement of people doing good things and having positive visions and sharing this idea that we don't really know where we're going, and we may have the ingredients, but we don't quite know what the end results will be, and that there is a mystery, and we are still capable of being in a place of hope, and not giving up. Never give up. It's never too late. It's never too late for us to live our better lives, despite everything that's happening in the world. And it's very important that we do encourage each other and stay in the vision together.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, I feel really encouraged by listening to that.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm so excited about the cards, Lucy. I want to play with them.
They're coming, they're coming.
Not just about piggery building, but I do have more serious questions that I could ask about the future of publishing and thought and visions, and it's exciting.
What's your one last big question for you, Maddy, because you seem to be in your zone of big visioning. What's your big vision for cultural emergence?
Oh, I just want it to be a building block. I see, like, we need to construct a bridge to the other world that's possible, and I want cultural emergence to be recognized and seen and respected as a key set of tools for doing that. And I want people outside the permaculture movement to sort of get it, and for this to spread and expand and touch many, many lives around the planet. Yeah.
Wow, well, that's a beautiful place to end on. I really hope that this is going to happen through books, through courses, and certainly through the card deck. That's one of the ideas, that we reach different audiences and many audiences with the card deck, and that it's really easy. They're really easy forms of transmission to pass from person to person and network to network. Thank you so much, Maddy, for being friend, publisher, visionary, designer, nature connection person, all these roles you have. It's really valued, and thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. And I will just add that there's a little cynical goblin on my shoulder, just to say to everyone out there, I have no vested interest in the card deck. It's not part of my professional life. I'm here for the love of it.
Yeah, thank you, Maddy. Yes, yes. I've branched out from permanent publications and doing this
You have,
different
but that's
differently.
fine.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
that's
have
fantastic.
another project in the wing, don't we, for another book project that's will surface once the card deck's out in the world. Then I'll give attention to the next book.
No problem. We've got enough books to be working on, and magazines and YouTubes and everything else, and piggeries.
Yes.
we'll never we'll never be underemployed.
No. Well, thank you so much, Maddy. Thank you everyone for listening. Bye.